Okay, I hope you guys can see me. You're kind of stuck behind my wheel, but I just filmed this and you could only see my mouth, so I figured I should vlog it. Anyways, I am on my way to Milwaukee to go see Rick Riordan for his The Ship of the Dead tour. I am beyond excited, you guys. I cannot wait. Right now I am driving. It is an hour-and-a-half drive, so I'll be there, yeah, pretty shortly. This actually isn't that bad of a drive. I'm actually really surprised that I'm like this close to Wisconsin. But yeah, I am beyond excited. I decked myself out in Percy Jackson. I know that this isn't for Percy Jackson, it's for Magnus Chase, but every time I'm in the vicinity of something Rick Riordan, I feel like I have to represent Percy just because he's the love of my life. And sorry, I'm turning a corner. This is so dangerous. But okay, you know what? If this is bad, this is bad. But anyways, so I have on blue today in honor of it being Percy's favorite color. I'm also rocking the my Greek necklace, which has the Athens Acropolis on it, like a bunch of the famous buildings, so like the Parthenon and another building that I don't really know. I can't read Greek, so I don't know what it is. And then I painted my nails a Percy Jackson theme. I have a lightning bolt on this finger, and then just some gold shimmery stuff on this finger, because that's who I am, and that's what I gotta do. This video is so bumpy because I'm on the road. This is also so dangerous. I'm staying in one lane. Your girl is not doing anything besides, yep. But yeah, so I should be in Milwaukee shortly. I'm planning on, I'm gonna get there a little early. I'll probably get there around like 1 and it starts at 4. And then I will go and, oh, I'm so excited! I am by myself today. I don't really have any like book friends in Chicago yet, so I'm just by myself. I'm hoping to make some new friends and just really embrace everything about this awesomeness. But yeah, I will see you guys in a bit. I'm here! I'm so unbelievably excited, you guys. Like, I'm actually crying. Like, I know I can't cry yet. I haven't even seen him in person and I'm already crying. It's fine, everything's fine. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Okay. Okay. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. I'm so excited! I'm gonna cry. Okay, we're good. We're good.
You're hiding something there.
Anyone ever tell you you're nosy?
You, every single day of my life. But yeah.
We're okay. Yeah, so I made this in ceramics class.
Still have to make sure this one works.
Wow. I think we've got a microphone back there working in the back, Uncle Rick.
Benvenuti al centro italiano di Milwaukee, sono Rick Riordan. Sono molto contento di stare qui e adesso parlo in inglese. But I thought since we're the Italian center, I better start in Italian. So thank you. backstage thinking that it has been 40 years since I started wanting to be a writer. I'm 53 now, which in itself is pretty scary to me. When I was 13 in 8th grade, I had this great English teacher, and she told me that I should send a story in. I had written it to her. It was about this guy who dies and goes to the afterlife. And she said, "Rick, you ought to send this in to get it published." And I said, "How do you do that?" We're getting some major feedback here. Either that or I'm talking to aliens, I'm not sure which. I don't know. And so, I tried to send it off and get it published, but it didn't get published. I kept trying, I had the rejection notes back up, and finally, when I was 30 years old, I got published. At the time, I was teaching middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And I don't know what it was, but during that time I started wanting to write mystery novels. Now, I'm not sure what about teaching middle school would make me want to contemplate murder, but there you go. My students always said, "Could you please write books for us, Mr. Ryerman?" And I said, "No, they're not, they're inappropriate, there's bad language, there's violence," and the kids would go, "Really?" And immediately go out and buy them. But they were right. I mean, I should have been writing for them. It wasn't until my own son was in 2nd grade, though, that kind of made sense to me, finally. I was talking to him, and he was having a really, really tough time in school. He was ADHD, he was dyslexic, he didn't like reading, he didn't like homework. The only thing he liked was Greek mythology, so I started telling him stories from the Greek myths. And that's where the story of Percy Jackson came from.
I told him the story that became Percy Jackson. He told me I should write it down. Next thing you know, I'm writing for kids. I did 5 books about Percy Jackson, then I did Egyptian mythology and the Kane Chronicles, went back to Greece and Rome with the heroes of Olympus, was writing all of these books, but now today what really is interesting to me is after all these years of writing that first story about a guy who dies and goes to the afterlife, I'm here today to tell you about my new book, which is about a guy who dies and goes to the afterlife. So what can I tell you about the new book, Magnus Chase, Book 3, The Ship of the Dead? I was always fascinated by the idea of the Viking afterlife. The Vikings believed that if you died in battle with a sword in your hand, heroically, you might be chosen to go to Valhalla, be one of Odin's chosen warriors, which were called the Einherjar. And if you're one of the Einherjar, as long as you're in Valhalla, you cannot die. In fact, their idea of fun is getting up in the morning and killing each other all day. And it doesn't really matter because you'll be resurrected in time for dinner. So it's a great thing to do, go, behead your friends. It's fine, no problem. Of course, if you're outside of Valhalla, like adventuring or whatever, you gotta be careful because you really can die out there. Anyway, Magnus Chase and his friends live in Valhalla, and they have this problem. Loki, the villain of Norse mythology, decides it's time to start Ragnarok, doomsday, when all 9 worlds will burn, the gods will die, and it's just basically a really happy time. The first sign of Ragnarok is that Loki will find the ship of the dead, also called Naglfar, the ship of nails. And he will put his army of zombies, hundreds of thousands of zombies in the ship, and they will sail off to battle to destroy the gods. Now when I say the ship of nails, I'm not saying that because it has a bunch of nails hammered into it. It's fingernails and toenails of dead people. So imagine a Viking ship the size of an aircraft carrier made entirely of dead men's toenails and fingernails. Don't you want to book a cruise right now? Yeah. Anyway, that's the job. They have to find Loki, stop him from launching Ragnarok. At some point in the series, you will see all of your friends from Percy Jackson and from the Heroes of Olympus. In this book, you will see Piper McLean again. You will see Jason Grace again. And you will see somebody that a lot of you have have been asking about and wondering about, again, Grover Underwood. The Kane Chronicles folks are also coming back. Now, I wish I could tell you this is a completely new Kane Chronicles novel. It's not. I haven't had time to write that yet. I'm still going back and forth between Magnus and with Trials of Apollo. However, in the meantime, we are going to be putting out the Brooklyn House Magician's Manual. This is more like the Camp Hapla Confidential book, where it's kind of short stories and behind-the-scenes looks and how do you do Egyptian magic and what's it like to train at Brooklyn House. So if you miss the Kanes, this will be a good thing for you to get. And if you haven't read the Kane Chronicles, we're going to be reissuing the original trilogy with new covers coming in April, so stay tuned for that. This might be a good time to start. What else? Oh, would you like a coloring book? That'll be coming out in time for Percy's birthday next summer. Also, if you want to know more, a lot of you have asked about this as well. If you want to go deeper into the demigod experience, we are revamping the website readriordan.com to make it a real official home for demigods. What do I mean by that? It's going to have lots of new information, a total database of all the characters, so you can see them all and what's up with them, and likes, their dislikes, their portraits, whatever. We will also find out a little bit more about you. Yes. You knew that you were a demigod. Maybe you didn't know who your mom or dad was. Well, you're about to find out. Yeah. You get to find out. Things also like, what would your weapon be? What's your magic item? What kind of plant would Apollo turn you into if he got mad at you? All those things. You will also find out about the different locations used in the book. There will be an online interactive map, all kinds of stuff. And social media art that you can share, you can create, you can send to your friends. It's going to be a lot of fun. That was a thing. You know, it's just something I couldn't quite get my head around. The agent came to me and said, hey, these people want to make a musical. And I'm like, what? And I mean, I just had this image of Percy with his sword dancing and singing across the stage. And every single fan of the books who has gone to the musical has reported to me that it is awesome.
It is.
It's like true to the story. It's got all the humor, the characters are great, the songs are funny, the whole thing is apparently really good. You want to check it out? You can hear Percy sing. What else from Percy's world? In August, his birthday, we will be releasing a fully illustrated edition of the Lightning Thief novel. A sneak peek at this. All of the art is done by John Rocco, who did the original illustrations for the covers. Imagine the entire text, the whole novel, but every single page in full color illustrations. Here is a little sample. I captioned this one, I told you not to park there. Here's the cabins at Camp Half-Blood. A little sneak peek at the underworld. Imagine hundreds of pages in full color like that. That's what's going on. Would like to know, do you read fanfics about your series? And if so, no, I consciously and stubbornly stay away from fan fiction. It's not that I have a problem with it. If you want to write fan fiction, good for you. That's fantastic. A lot of writers start that way. But it goes back to the adaptation thing. I told you I get weirded out just hearing somebody tell my story. Imagine how weird I feel when somebody's writing about my characters and it's not my story. So, and I also don't want people to come back later and say, "Oh, you got that idea from my fan fiction." I'm like, what? So no, I know fan fiction is out there. Enjoy it, write it, that's fine. But I do not personally ever read it. And if I see it, I stay away from it.
Good.
Okay, Michael Dean would like to know, what, if any, deities are in Chicago? We got the Romans in LA, we got the Greeks and the Egyptians in New York, the Norse are in Boston. What about Chicago? It does seem like too big of a city not to have some deities. Yeah? I don't know Chicago as well as I know those other cities. I would have to do a little exploration and see if there's any kind of logical connection to any mythologies. I'm not aware of any off the top of my head, but it's a fun idea to play around with that. All right, let's see what else you got. Caroline would like to know, what is a hobby of yours? Unfortunately for the world, I play guitar. That was actually my job in college. I worked my way through college playing at bars and stuff at night, and we were pretty terrible. So it's really probably a good thing that I didn't become a rock star. But I still like playing guitar just to relax. And we like to travel too, and of course reading. From Kathy's Kids, are any of the characters in the book based on kids I know? In The Lightning Thief, because it was a bedtime story, I did throw in some names and characters from my son's school, which was also where I taught, that he would recognize. So for instance, Travis and Connor Stoll are actual brothers who I taught in middle school. And they are tricksters. Charles Beckendorf is an actual student of mine. Nico is loosely based on an actual Nico that I taught in class. Very loosely. Who else? Mr. Brunner, the Latin teacher who turns into Chiron. He is based on the actual Mr. Brunner, who was the Latin teacher at the school. Who else? Mrs. Dodds is real. Yeah, I taught with her. She was a pre-algebra teacher with 6th graders, and everybody was a little scared of her. So I figured, well, let's just make her into a monster. And again, I didn't know this was going to be published. My son thought it was funny. I giggled, but then it got published and I forgot to change the name. I had to go up to her and say, "Mrs. Dodds, I have a confession. I turned you into a monster and killed you. I'm sorry." But now her students are so well behaved, she's totally fine. Okay, Katie would like to know, what is the best advice you can give for aspiring young authors? Do we have writers out there who are like, whoa, excellent, nice, that's fantastic? Well, okay, there's two ways I can answer that. For the really long version, if you want like the nitty-gritty and all the details, on my author's site, rickriordan.com, there's an entire section called Advice for Aspiring Writers. I'll tell you everything you want to know. If you want the short answer, the really important stuff, 3 things. They sound easy, but they're hard. Number 1, you got to read a lot. I imagine a lot of you already do that. That's so important because by reading, you find out what kind of stories work for you. What kind of humor makes you laugh? What kind of dialogue do you like? What kind of descriptions do you like? What works for you? What doesn't work for you? You get that from reading. Number 2, you have to write a lot. It can be anything. It can be a journal. It can be short stories. It can be poetry. Doesn't matter. But you have to write. Writing is like a sport. If you don't practice it, you don't get better. You have to build up those writing muscles. 3rd thing, don't give up. You heard my story. I started when I was 13. I was 30 before I got published. And even then, the first book I turned in, I sent it off to 14 publishers. The first 13 all said no. So if I had given up after 5 rejections, or 10 rejections, or 12 rejections, I wouldn't be standing up here today. You have to believe in yourself, persevere, don't give up. Megan would like to know, can you write a book from Jack the Sword's perspective? Actually, Jack the Sword is under the impression that the entire trilogy is from his perspective. Did you ever struggle with fantasy being taken less seriously? Do you have any words of encouragement? I absolutely hear you, August. Yeah, fantasy, especially if you're taking writing classes, there are going to be some aspiring writers who frown on that and don't consider it literature, with a capital L. And what I say to that is, that's fine. You write what you want to write. You do what you want to do, and that does not mean that you aren't doing a book. That does not mean that you're any less of a writer than they are. So just ignore those people. Tune them out. You have to be open to criticism if it's from people you trust and if it seems sincere. But you also have to believe in what you're writing. You have to be the final judge of whether what you're writing is what you want to write. Krista says, will you write a series where there's a female lead character? Your books have female supporting characters, but no true heroine. A fair point, Krista. Of course, I think Sadie Kane might disagree with you, because she gets 50-50 time in the Kane Chronicles, and the Heroes of Olympus is really an ensemble cast. 7 characters, all of them are main characters, narrators, and 3 of them are girls. But I see your point, nevertheless. You would like to see a series that's solely from a girl's perspective, and that's completely understandable and valid. I would love to do that. Right now, I have the Trials of Apollo finishing up. It'll be 5 books, so I still got 2.5 years before I can even think about what comes next, but that's a great idea. Eleanor would like to say, Magnus found his sword at the bottom of the river after Jack had sat there for thousands of years. So how did Jack pick up a knowledge of modern language and pop songs? Eleanor, I think it's sort of a Captain America thing where he has a list of things to get to, and he's really quick to study. Jessica would like to say, did you intend to give a subtle hint to Camp Jupiter in the Titan's Curse, where the mist is really strong in San Francisco? Yes? I totally planned that. And final question. This is a dual question from Skylar and Alexis. What couple/ship is your favorite? I have to say, first of all, that the concept of shipping is not new. We had this when I was in high school, where you combine the names. I love the ships. I love Percy. You know, Percy and Annabeth, I have to say though, the reason I love that so much is they are very loosely inspired by me and my wife. She is my Annabeth and always has been. We started dating in high school and we're still together after all these years. And if you're curious, my name's Rick, her name is Becky, our ship name was Brick. And so I will have to leave you with that my favorite ship is Brick. Thank you so much.
Drive, just drive. Stay ahead, and stay alive. We ain't got no time for moping when
About to
we're
get some
working
bikinis! Yes!
So
Your girl
pedal
is
to
so
the
hungry right
metal
now!
and
It's only that freaking light would turn green!
St. Louis, everybody off.
Look, the Gateway Arch.
Yeah! Getting some nuggets.
A lady with the puppy.
What's up?
Hello BookTube! So, this was kind of like the last of my Magnus Chase vlog. I originally filmed this exit in my car, but everything turned out to be crap. So, here I am, refilming. What's up? So, I officially got to see Rick Riordan. My life is complete, I can die happy, everything is yes. On top of seeing him and hearing him talk, I was also able to meet a bunch of new friendly faces. I loved all of the people that were there that decked out in Camp Half-Blood or Camp Jupiter shirts. it was amazing. I was with my people and I was just so freaking happy. I actually did get to meet a fellow booktuber there as well. I will link her channel down below. She's awesome. You guys should go check her out. I had a blast. So there are a couple things that I got while there. They were all technically free because I had to pay for the ticket, and then I got these. So yeah, I'm gonna just share them with you. Alright, so after his whole talk spiel type of thing, they had a little bucket outside of the door where you were able to pick up some pins. And so I just got 2 pins that have Norse symbols on them. I don't know what they mean because I'm a loser and I haven't actually read the books. So maybe I think these are explained in the books. I've only read like half of the first book. I do plan on reading it. I haven't gotten around to it. But so yeah, I got 2 little pins. They're cool. I'm awesome. It was so much fun. But yeah, so that's that. And then on top of that, we were also given a tour t-shirt. So the front is Ship of the Dead, obviously. And then the back is Rick Riordan and then all of the places that he went on this tour. Yep. And I was one of the lucky ones who was able to get it in my size. So what's up, bitches? But yeah, so I'm really excited that I will forever be able to wear this and nerd out and yeah. I now have something Magnus Chase and not just Percy Jackson. And of course, last but not least, I got a signed copy of the 3rd book in the Magnus Chase trilogy, which is The Ship of the Dead. I will show you the signature. Isn't it beautiful? But yeah, so this is everything I want. Everything. It was amazing. I am so happy that I went and that I got to go. I mean, I was a little disappointed that I wasn't able to like actually meet him face to face and get him to sign my Percy Jackson book, but like, we can't all be perfect, okay? And he's also really popular, so like, I don't blame him for not wanting to have to sign that many copies right then and there. Anyways, but yeah, my dream basically came true and I'm gonna die happy. Adios, amigos. I did cry multiple times. Yeah. Alright, but that is it for this vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys were at the Milwaukee, you guys can basically relive the whole experience in this vlog. Yeah, plus some of my experiences. Yay! Comment down below if you guys were at any of his tour locations. What was your favorite part about it? What was your favorite little merchandise thing that you got? Yeah, if you guys were at the Milwaukee one, I'm glad you guys came. I didn't get to see you. Nice meeting ya, but not really. Next time, come up and say hi if you see me. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. See you.